Hello everyone. In the last videos we looked at using a mix bus, and we looked at grouping channels, so we could group all, say, the drums to one channel so we can use effects, those sort of things, and give the tracks continuity. Following on from that, I want to look in a mix how to take from an intro to a verse to a chorus and give it a dynamic lift. Now, when musicians play together, they naturally play louder in a chorus or push the beat slightly more in the chorus. And in this song, I can see this is just one I've loaded up just by chance, but I can see here I've marked where my chorus starts and ends, and I've actually done the same thing. I've played slightly louder in the chorus, so it's got a lift anyway on the guitars. But I wanted to show you how we could use automation to give each individual track a slight volume dynamic lift. But I wanted to look at doing it in the mix bus. It's a really quick tool just for giving you choruses that final bit of that perhaps the verses wouldn't have, just a bit more of a lift. But before I start that, we talked about grouping. Sorry, this is a big track I've got running here. There's quite a few tracks. Okay, I've got my mix bus here. I've expanded that out, but we looked at grouping tracks to the separate groups, and then I bussed it to a mix bus before it went to my stereo fader. The reason I gave for that was if I import a reference track at the top, the reference track would be bussed to my stereo out, and all of my other tracks I've got running here would be bussed to my group channels and then to my mix bus, if that makes sense. And my mix bus has got effects, so the reference track, the commercial mix, would be going straight to the stereo out, avoiding the mix bus. Therefore I can reference without having any effects on. One other useful thing for the stereo out, if you haven't got any effects on there, I haven't got many effects on my mix bus anyway. I've just got looks like a Pultec and a compressor, just a little bit of a bus compressor, but we'll go into those in a bit more depth. But my stereo out, all I've got is in Cubase under tools. You've got things like a multi-scope, so you can actually look at both sides of your channels or your stereo channel with this and actually check your mix. And if you're using a reference track as well, you can check the reference mix against something as well. So you can play your reference mix, see how it looks in the analyzer, and then run your own mix and make sure, obviously you can hear if the treble, you've got more top end than the commercial track, or you're lacking bottom end, whatever. But it's just a handy tool as well to use for a reference. So it's quite nice on my master just to add. I often added like a multi-scope and some tools just to check my mix. But anyway, we were discussing how to give our tracks a slight mix. So what I've done, I've just put a marker at the start of my chorus here, so at bar 26, and I finish at bar, hold on, let me expand him out a bit, 43. So what I'm going to do is use my mix bus to automate it, just to add perhaps half a dB of a lift, of a dynamic lift, and then go back for the chorus, and that would give the perception, what it will actually do it is of adding slightly more volume, so your chorus will sound slightly more livelier than perhaps the verse would. Now, if you're not using a mix bus and all your tracks are going to a master bus, of course you can do that on the master bus, no problem at all. It's just I'm using a mix bus with it, but if you wanted to do that, that's no problem. Okay, so bar 26, I'm just going to expand this out slightly, scroll down to my mix bus, and here's my automation lane, so you can drag in any automation you want, but I use this line tool, so I right click and I get the line tool, and I know my chorus is starting here, so what I might do is just put, press delete if I can see delete. Okay, there's delete. A slight fade in when it comes from my verse, so my intro and my verse are going to be slightly lower in volume, and then when I get to the chorus, it's going to have a slight lift in there. So, okay, let's see where we're at. Okay, sorry. Okay, and if you want to see, it's up to you how much you put on there, but here I'm going from minus 0.36, so nearly 0 dB, and then just lifting up to hopefully 0 dB. Let's have a look. Yeah, here we go, value 0 dB. So if I just play this small section here, this is a track I've just pulled up at random, an old track that I had. Okay, let me play it slightly before. So it's given my chorus just that slight, it's not even half a dB lift, but just something. If you felt your track needed more, of course you can be a bit more aggressive with your automation, or perhaps use automation on your individual channels. But I marked where my chorus ends, so what I would be tempted to do now in the mix bus, oh sorry, I'm just going to get my line tool, so right click, get the line tool towards the end of the chorus, slight dip down, delete. So just checking I'm on 0 dB, and you can see up here under my value I haven't drawn that in very well, so make him 0 dB. And I'm going to, at the moment we're looking at going to 0.47 minus 0.47. Now what was I before? Let's do it the same. It was minus 0.36, so this is really handy up here. So minus 0.36, so the verses have the same level, and then we're back for my verse, so it's dropping back slightly, and it's only it's a minuscule amount I'm doing, but with everything else, with playing louder, having perhaps more instruments in the chorus itself, and that just gives you that final bit of a push when you get to the choruses, and certainly on the final chorus as well. Okay, good luck.